who's the Alex Rodriguez that we're seeing today?
I think a liberated man. I think this was a guy who was kind of trapped by his own kind of failed persona in baseball, who was booed by his own fans in baseball, never really a beloved pop culture figure.
Right.
I think a guy who was almost in a way liberated when he hit rock bottom in this scandal and now feels free to, I hope this is him, meaning like I think maybe that this is the person he was always supposed to be and always wanted to be, but felt constrained by fame and fortune. And of course, when you're generating that kind of revenue, over $400 million over a career, you have so many people around you who rely on you. And so you don't really have a chance to kind of free yourself and go out in public and feel like you could joke around and just be you. And I think it's liberating for someone to be out of the game. Like the only thing he's ever known, the only thing he's ever been told he's good at. And the interesting thing about Screwball is it turns out it's not about Alex Rodriguez. Don't tell him that. But it's not about ARod. It's about these bizarre Elmore Leonard, Carl Hyacin, almost Coen Brothers-esque characters.
It's a great way to put it.
Inhabit this only in Miami kind of world. And
it's the weirdest birdcage I've ever seen.
It's bizarre. And
you know what I mean?
You can't make it up because it's such nonsense. Like
Without
it's literally
the We Are Family ending, where they're all walking out singing We Are Family.
It all goes down in a tanning salon.
Who's in drag? Who's Gene Hackman?
I know you're talking about Tony Bosch, who is at the center of all of this, who's the one who was dispensing all of the steroids, using his dad's script paper pad to
who's a legit doctor,
right? A legit doctor, and then this fella Porter Fisher, who is just a, I don't know what do you describe him? The one who he essentially took the documents from Tony Bosch, who just let it lying around the biogenesis office, took them and sent them to the press because he was pissed about not getting $4,000 back. It's a chunk of change, nice chunk of change. But even Tony Bosch in your documentary said he wishes he had paid that money to avoid everything else that had happened. It's insane.
I think I'm more interested in hearing how you describe Porter Fisher after having watched the documentary.
I guess one would just be a sad figure who's just looking for some sort of relevance. That's what I.
And he found it in these documents. And he took these documents so he stole the documents from Tony Bosch, and then the documents were stolen from him and sold not just to the highest bidder, but every bidder. I mean, anybody willing to pay anything for them, and including Major League Baseball, who's paid $125,000 cash in a diner out of some slush fund, I presume. I don't think they were going to 1099 the convicted felon that they were buying these knowingly stolen documents from. I don't know where MLB gets a slush fund from, but so be it. I don't knock their hustle either. Rob Manfred was in charge of this entire investigation. But listen, you go down to Miami. I mean, when you roll around in the swamp, you're going to get some mud on you. You know what I mean?
They
play dirty down there.
And if you gotta root this thing out. I mean, in a way too, because everybody was saying, how does the NFL not get the TMZ tapes of all these players that TMZ has the tapes on? Yeah. And the reason why is they're not going to take some sort of. Could you imagine if the NFL...
Nobody trusts them.
Well,
that's what it is.
Well, I was just saying, could you imagine if the NFL took a slush fund and gave it to somebody who, for whatever their reason, wanted to leak this tape when they had no right to? Could you imagine?
You're assuming they don't do that?
They don't. Otherwise, you know what I'm saying, Billy? They don't, because otherwise they'd have the tape.
Here's what
Harvey Levin does.
Well, here's what they did. These convicted felons, while they're selling MLB the stolen documents for cash in a diner, they had a buddy at another table with an iPhone filming the transaction so that they could sell the video of the transaction to ARod to say, like, hey, you can then release this video. And they wound up getting scared about this, and they deleted it from the hard drive. But ARod bought a blank hard drive from them for six figures. We have the wire transfer. It's in the documentary. And ARod allegedly spent thousands more sending the hard drive around the world to data recovery services to try to get this deleted footage back, and unfortunately couldn't. And so we got footage.
America's sweetheart, Alex Rodriguez.
It's hysterical. But listen, he was desperate, and he grew up in Miami. It's like sunny place for shady people. It rubs off on you, and the type of characters you surround yourself to. And the fact that when you think about it, the career of the highest paid baseball player in history effectively ended over a $4,000 debt between a cocaine-addicted fake doctor and his fake tan-addicted steroid patient. It's just kind of Wonderful.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.